It's time to talk about the remaining Artificer subclasses. Welcome to the Attic Dungeon. My name is Sam, and whether you want to blow things apart with cannon fire or be an intelligent weapon master with an awesome pet, I'm here to help you with everything. Yes, let's do this quickly then. Awkward self-promotion. Thank you for watching me. I hope you have fun while watching me, or even better, have fun implementing whatever I'm talking about into your games. If you want to support me, very simple. Leave a like, leave a comment, or send me 1 million euros to build out my empire. Thank you very much. Today we are talking about the final two Artificer subclasses, being the Artillerist and the Battle Smith. Just like last time with the Alchemist and the Armor Smith, there is one clearly superior to the other, and it is once again the Smith subclass. So the Battlesmith is a very strong Artificer subclass. The Artillerist one is meh. I'll explain why in an obvious moment. That moment being now, because we're starting. Artificers, in case you forgot, get their subclass features at 3rd level, 5th level, 9th level, and 15th level. So there's four features and a spell list that you get. The spells are just like with a cleric, they are always prepared. You don't have to select them. These are spells that you always have. So, Artillerist then. What do we want to expect from an Artillerist? Obviously blowing stuff up. And here the problem becomes apparent, obviously. It's a bit like with the Alchemist. The Artificer is only a half-caster class. It's always difficult to have a half-caster class keep up with a full caster class when it comes to damage output and spell relevance, because when you're getting Fireball at level 9, the other casters are getting their 5th level spells, which you get at level 17 and when they have 9th level spells. So there's a large gap in what your spells do, so you need to find other ways to make them relevant. The subclasses always try to do that, but there will always be a gap. Luckily, you do still bring all the utility that an Artificer has to the table, and that is not to be underestimated. This subclass, the Artillerist, is not god-awful bad, by the way. It is just as opposed to the Armor Smith and the Battle Smith. That's the deal. Still, it tries to do what it wants to do, and it does it decently. Let's have a look at how it does it. It starts at level 3 with the most important feature. You gain Woodcarver Tool Proficiency, in case you hadn't gotten that one already. Yes, every Artificer subclass has one tool set that they gain proficiency with. This is the one. You can use it as a spellcasting focus and for other creative purposes. More important might be the Spellist. Usually the Spellist, in this case, is a nice split between a blasting spell and a utility spell that usually also deals damage, which is good because Artificers have no AoE damaging spells of their own at early levels, at least. And early levels, I've played an Artificer up to level 9 and I'm still looking for them in the spell list. So it fills a niche that Artificers cannot really fill on their own, that of the AoE blaster. What spells do you get? Shield, Thunder Wave, Shatter, Scorching Ray. Yeah, Fireball, Wind Wall, Wall of Fire, Ice Storm, Cone of Cold, Wall of Force. So a lot of wall damage control spells and a lot of AoE blasting spells. You also get Shield, which is good. That keeps your level 1 spell slots relevant in combat all the way up to level whatever you're playing. So by no means it is a bad spell list. It will just suffer from the discrepancy that I've explained at the start, that you never get the highest spell slots. Wall of Force, even though you're getting it at level 17, is always relevant, period. Just forget for a while that your wizard friend has been doing this since level 9 when you were getting Fireball, so you'll get there. Apart from the spell list, you also gain the Eldritch Cannon feature. Possibly more iconic than the spell list, even though the spell list gives you your blasting power. You, once per long rest, or when you spend the spell slot, you can create an Eldritch Cannon. It can be small or tiny. If it's tiny, you can hold it in the palm of your hand. It fits in a hand. If it's small, it can just appear on the battlefield and stand in a square, much like a halfling does, whatever. It's halfling-sized cannon, so that's not too bad. You decide whether or not the cannon has legs. If it has legs, it can move 15 feet. I think it can even climb 15 feet. You can heal it with a mending spell. It has an armor class of 18, which is actually pretty good. and it has 5 times your artificer level as hit points, which is not horrible, but it's not going to be a tank. Which makes sense. It's not supposed to be a tank, it's supposed to be a cannon. You can pick what type of cannon you create when you make it, and obviously you can swap it out each time. There's 3 types. A flamethrower, which obviously deals damage in a cone, an AoE cone in case you wanted more. It relies on dexterity save against your spell save DC rather, and it deals 2d8 damage on bonus action, by the way. All of these cannon actions are on bonus action, so your bonus action will be necessary to utilize your cannons efficiently. But it's a flamethrower. That's fun because that means there's potential to deal multiple instances of 2d8 damage, and it's half damage on a save, so it's never a total failure. You can also turn it into a force ballista, which is basically a long-range force cannon, 120 feet. It only attacks one target, again for 2d8 damage. It can push the target though, so main difference between those two, the flamethrower is a flamethrower. It's a shotgun AoE attack that can hit multiple targets. The force ballista can only hit one target for the same target that the flame ballista does, and it's not a save, so it can miss, but it can shoot a lot further away, so it might be nice to keep it safe and have it blast. Also, the force ballista can critical hit, of course. And then there is the Protector, which is a temporary hit point generator. Anyone standing within 10 feet of the Protector when it activates with your bonus action gains 1d8 plus your intelligence modifier worth of temporary hit points. That is not too bad. Of course, with it being temporary hit points, they cannot overlap, but you can keep refreshing the temporary hit points. I think, especially at lower levels, this is a very efficient shielding thing. There is going to be a period in your artillerist career where these temporary hit points are less impactful, but same can be said for the damage. It takes a while to scale. At level 5, you can upgrade something into an arcane firearm. Yes, it's like a wand or a rod, or there's something else, like caster focus stuff that you can implement with magical sigils that will remain until you die or create another arcane firearm, whatever. And whenever you cast something with the arcane firearm, it gets d8 bonus damage. So that's okay. That basically means that when at level 9, when you actually do get fireball instead of 8d6 damage, which is the default fireball damage, yours would deal 8d6 plus 1d8, which is actually a bit more than a level 4 fireball would be, which is cast at level 7 for most classes. So you see, you're upgrading your blasting spells. They are better than they would be, but the upgrade is not like completely compensating for the discrepancy in spell slots. Obviously, you don't need to spend a level 4th level spell slot to gain it. It's still a level 3 fireball, but this will apply to every spell you cast. This will make your cantrips inherently better than anybody else's damaging cantrips. I mean, your firebolt will always deal 1 die of extra damage as opposed to the wizard's firebolt, and cantrips are dependent on your total level, so there's that, you know. It's not an Eldritch Blast with an agonizing blast upgrade, but it adds relevant damage to your spells. Level 9, the explosive cannon feature. First and foremost, all cannon damage is increased by 1d8. The sad part here is that the healing from the Protector is not a damage roll. So technically speaking, that would not be increased by this upgrade. And I think that's kind of sad because it makes the Protector cannon scale way lower than all the rest after level 9, because at level 15, 1d8 plus 5 temporary hit points. I mean, it's not bad. It is certainly not bad, especially not since you can do it every turn, but still, it's sad that it doesn't scale. The other damage will, well, it's a flamethrower doing 3d8 in a cone. Sure, I can talk about that. I'll live with that. More importantly, you can give your cannon the command to go boom. It is your action, though, and the boom is a dex save against 3d8 damage, force damage, and half as much on a failed thing. It's a pretty large explosion, being anything within 20 feet of it, so 20-foot radius, that is. It's a nice thing for when you notice your cannon is about to die, I guess. The main thing here is that the damage gets upgraded. I think the explosions are, in case of emergency, explode cannon kind of thing for more AoE damage. Of course, you can do both in one turn. You can first let your cannon attack and then explode the cannon. But then, yeah, you didn't expend any spell slots, I guess, but you don't have a cannon anymore. Last feature, fortified position. This one is actually pretty good. The cannons are not bad, but now you get two of them. You can have two cannons at the same time. You can create two cannons with the same action. So that means that the first cannon of the day, the one that you create with an action, I think is still free, the first two. But afterwards, if you want to create two cannons, you will have to spend 2 spell slots. It could also be, there's also the option that only the first cannon is free, but you have to spend the second spell slot to get the second cannon. It's a bit dodgy on the wording. Honestly, to be honest, I'd let them have the first 2 cannons for free, since it's the same action and doesn't require a spell slot. And then they need to spend 1 spell slot per cannon afterwards. Oh, I forgot something about the cannons, but they only stay up for an hour, by the way. So even the starter cannons, you can create a cannon once per day, and then it stays up for an hour, and then you have to spend a spell slot to create a new cannon. So your spell slots are going to be used not just for blasting. The good news is level 1 spell slots creates an equally strong cannon as a level 5 spell slot. So there's that. So now you can have 2 cannons. They can be different types of cannons. So 1 protector, 1 flamethrower, perfectly possible. And you can control them with the same bonus action, which is also very nice. But even more important, I think, is that the cannons now provide half cover to anyone, to your allies, more specifically within 10 feet. Half cover rules are often forgotten, but half cover means you get +2 armor class and +2 to dexterity save. So this is really not bad. Armor class, a +2 armor class stays equally relevant throughout the game because of the way how accuracy works, bound accuracy in 5th edition. So getting +2 armor class at level 15 is equally good to getting +2 at level 9 when you're getting haste, for example, and these 2 stack. So now you can do haste, and then the one from the cannon, +4 armor class, magic +2 armors, +6 armor class, a magic shield, +7 armor class. There you go. You're not weak at all when it comes to defense, but this comes into game very late. And that's it. That's the Artillerist, really. It's an okay subclass. It will do what it is supposed to do while providing ample support to the battlefield in the form of controlling damaging spells. And cool cannons. I mean, having 2 flamethrowers is cool, let's be honest. Now, on to the really good subclass of today, the Battle Smith. The idea here is that you are an artificer who is capable of using weapons to their fullest potential, and you also have a very cool mechanical pet. Usually I'm not a big fan of pet classes, but this one, well, when the Artificer came out, the Armorsmith wasn't there, so this was the obvious choice for me. But I have learned to love the pet. For your information, I'm currently playing a Battlesmith Artificer in Tyranny of Dragons campaign. And I'm loving every minute of it. You can be very creative with the class in general, and this class is very durable on the battlefield, actually. Tool proficiency. Well, you're a smith, so you get smith tools. Whip-de-doo, on to the next one. Your spell list has lackluster spells and has good spells. It has shield, good stuff, but also heroism. Why even? But so you're the second subclass that has shield, on top of the fact that you're just like the artillery, you can wear medium armor and a shield already, so having shield on top of that is defensively pretty strong. You also have absorb elements in your standard spell list. There's a smite spell, which is nice. You'll notice that here as well, your pet utilizes your bonus action to attack, basically, so every turn. But in cases where your pet is immobilized or cannot reach anything, having a smite can be really nice to add damage anyway. You also get Warding Bond, a nice concentration-less buff that allows you to soak damage as well. Also gives extra armor class. Conjure Barrage, an actual AoE spell, the only one you're getting before level 10, I think. Aura Vitality requires you to use your bonus action to heal people every turn, but it is pretty decent healing, to be honest. And you're good at keeping concentration as an Artificer because of your proficiency in Constitution saves and your very general tankiness, to be honest, so it's a good spell. Aura of Purity, Fire Shield, another Smite, Banishing Smite can be very handy even if it's only level 17. And Mask Cure Wounds, a bit of a meh at level 17, but hey, you got it, might as well use it. You notice that this is a mix between healing spells and some utility damage spells and one or two protective spells. So it's a bit of a mixed bag of combat related spells, and that is exactly what we want as an Artificer. We want a mixed bag of combat related spells. You're not going to get massive AoE damage out of this list, but that is not the Battlesmith's goal on the battlefield. If you want to do that, Artillerist is the way to go. Another important bit for the Battlesmith is the Battle Ready feature. Basically, if you're fighting with a magical weapon, you can use your intelligence when it comes to attack rolls, damage rolls, the whole shebang can be done on intelligence. This is amazing because you're very apt at creating magical weapons. Like, oh, I have to wait until the Dungeon Master gives me one. No, at level 2 you create your +1 Warhammer. At level 3 you learn how to use the +1 Warhammer with intelligence. And from then on it's bonky tonky time. This, once again, if it wasn't clear enough, makes intelligence the most important ability score to all Artificers. I didn't say it for the Artillerist, but since he works on spells, again, it is the thing there. This also gives you proficiency with all martial weapons, because I was talking about a Warhammer, that's obviously a martial weapon. Battlesmiths can use all martial and simple weapons, and as long as they're magical, which you make them, you can use intelligence to whack stuff with. This means that your Battlesmith Artificer at the start of the day can basically decide whether they want to be a melee combatant or a ranged combatant or something in between. If you want to be a melee combatant, you slap enhanced weapon on your Warhammer. You might want to pick up the shield as well. Want to be a ranged one? Grab a gun, grab a bow, enhance it, go. Something in between, slap returning weapon on a hand axe, and now you're a skirmisher. You can melee and you can throw from a short distance. The weapon will come back. All of those enhancements make your weapon magical, so you can perform any type of damage dealer on the battlefield that is weapon related. Good show. That's not all you're getting. No, you're also getting the Steel Defender, one hell of a pet. Doesn't mean that it's the biggest damage dealer or the most tanky pet, but it is pretty strong and very flexible at what it does. Hit points is 2 plus your int modifier plus 5 times, I think, your Artificer level, so it's a bit sturdier than the cannon. It only has 15 armor class, though. It will gain an increase later on. I found it's durable enough. It shouldn't be your frontline fighter, but it's durable enough to be up there. It can heal itself with a repair action as well, so that's pretty cool. And you can of course use mending to heal it as well, but that takes a full minute, so that's not a combat thing. The stats are decent. It has saving throw bonuses to dexterity and constitution. The cool thing for this pet is that a lot of its statistics scale with your proficiency bonus. So every so many levels, all of the relevant skills and attack rolls and what have you will become stronger, and its hit points obviously depend on your intelligence, so that's relevant again as well. But the pet kind of scales decently with you. It is not going to be your main mode of attacking. You're not a Beastmaster Ranger, but it will be a very complementary pet. If you don't take your bonus action to command it to attack or whatever, it will automatically enter the dodge stance, by the way, which is also pretty amazing to just annoy enemies, because the pet has a very good reaction, by the way, that's called deflect attack. If I'm standing here and my pet is standing here next to each other, and something here is attacking me, so we're fighting an orc chieftain, the two of us. Haha, me and my trusty goat Midas are attacking an orc captain. And the captain decides to attack me, then Midas can use its reaction to impose disadvantage on the orc captain, and that's pretty good stuff. This opens the way to very cheesy stuff. If you play a small Artificer, like a gnome or a halfling, you can actually mount your Steel Defender, because you're a small creature on a medium creature, perfectly okay. And then there's feats and multi-classes and items that would allow you to protect your mount, and the mount can protect you with its reaction, and you create actually a very durable combination. Relevant to know, the perception of this thing is basically twice your proficiency bonus. So this is an actually very perceptive goat. It is a great lookout. It cannot be surprised, it cannot be exhausted, it cannot be poisoned or charmed, which makes sense. It can attack, it deals 1d8 plus your proficiency bonus damage, and the attack bonus is the same that you would get on a spell, so your spell attack modifier to hit, which is again intelligence, so there you go. Kind of talked about it in a non-structured way, but this is a very decent pet to have on the battlefield. This is a very nice chunk of hit points to bring with you on the battlefield as well. My Artificer, because he's a hill dwarf, has 1 hit point less than our actual tank, who is a Goliath fighter. So d8, d10, but then I have a high constitution and I'm a hill dwarf, so I'm just 1 hit point away from what he has. But then there's Midas, my 9th level, well, I'm a 9th level Artificer, my 9th level Steel Defender, who brings 53 extra hit points to the table. It's a very nice chunk on the battlefield. He's mobile, he can help a rogue get sneak attack, he can do the reaction, he has an attack to repair themselves. I like this pet, and I'm not a pet type of guy. Another reason why I like the pet is because you can choose what it looks like. Whether it has 2 legs or 4 legs, and what it looks like is all up to you. I said that mine, Midas, is a goat. There was one incident where we needed to transport a Remora's egg, which are eggs that you need to keep really, really warm. So I remanufactured Midas into basically a walking fire pit. A large fire pit on legs, basically. We put coals in it, which we had acquired in some other illegal ways. And then put the egg in it, and Midas could walk with us. Obviously, it wasn't very good in the fight at that point because of the eggs, but you can decide what it looks like, is what they say. So that gives you a lot of creative freedom on what it looks like and what extra utility you might get out of it. Obviously, it's not because you say it has wings that it can fly. It only has the speed that it has, which is 40 feet, by the way. But there are certain applications that you can certainly have the Steel Defender fulfill with some creativity. And since it's only at the start of the day, it's not like you can adjust it in the middle of the day. There's some time. Anyway, that's the Steel Defender. 5th level, very simple. Extra attack. You're a Battle Smith. You go bang, bang, throw, throw, chop, chop. Now you go it twice, which means that at 5th level you have 3 attacks because you attack twice and your pet can attack once. That's good. Level 9, Arcane Jolt, a very funky feature. It's like a mini smite, a number of times equal to your, you'll never guess it, intelligence per day. Intelligence modifier, obviously. When you hit something, you can either add 2d6 4 damage or do 2d6 healing to something within 30 feet of the target. Not of you, of the target. This is a nice extra, 5 times per day max. So use it when it's necessary. Keep 1 instance in your pocket for when you crit. As always, with smite-like features, you're attacking 2 times per turn. The chances that you will crit at some point are very decent, especially since you can cast Fairy Fire as well. The good thing about this is you can actually heal someone without having to spend an action or a bonus action. So this heals like Healing Word, basically. I mean, it's a 2d6, which can be 1d4 plus 5, which would be your Healing Word right now. So it's kind of the same range, a bit more swingy in the numbers. But you don't have to spend a bonus action. You just glue this on top of your attack. You can only do it once per turn, I think, though. This is something... Wait, I forgot. Yeah, it is once per turn. Sorry, I had to check that just to make sure I don't babble. You can only do this once per turn, but it can be either you or your Steel Defender who uses it. So there's 3 chances of activating the Arcane Jolt per turn if you really need it. And then you can just heal somebody who really needs it without spending an extra action. So action economy wise, this is really good healing and decent damage. That's why it's limited to 5 times per day. And then obviously at 15, improved Steel Defender. Your robot goat, just for the record, gets better. How? Arcane Jolt, both for you and for the pet, damage increases to both damage and healing, by the way, increase to 4d6. So here you do get an upgrade to both damage and healing. It's not like the cannon that doesn't get an upgrade to the temporary hit points. Here it actually sticks. Your defender gains +2 to armor class, so now it's at 17 armor class and a very decent chunk of hit points by now, so it's capable. And when the steel defender uses its reaction, the deflect attack option that I talked about, to create disadvantage on the attack roll, the target also takes 1d4 plus your intelligence modifier as force damage, so in between 6 and 9 force damage. Is that a lot at level 17? No. Is it free bonus damage that you don't have to roll for to see if it hits on top of what you're already doing with the pet? Yes. So your steel defender has become even better. And there we are, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else. These were the two final subclasses for the Artificer. Tell me about them. If you've played an Artillerist, actually, it would be amazing if you could let me know how that went, because I haven't played one yet, so I'm a bit iffy on how the damage would scale. As I said, it looks a bit meh, but not horrible. Let me know if you do know, and otherwise you can still let me know anything in the comments down below. And if all goes well, I'll see you all again in 2 weeks in the Attic Dungeon.